your strength is in writing. Your strength is, maybe hosting. Your strength could be inspiring others. I think you can do a phenomenal job inspiring people, because, we rarely get, as the Hindi song goes, kabhi kisi ko mukammal jahan nahi milta. So for that matter, I think if you look at anybody, they try to do the best with what they have. And I think with what you have a bounty of blessings. It's just that you need to see them with your eyes open, how blessed you are. You've got a family, you've got a great wife who supported you through everything, your children. And I think you've got fans and you've got friends like us. Hang in there, and I can totally see you becoming what you want to become and not what the world wants you to become. And I think I can assure you, if you have any faith in what I'm saying,
I do.
Close your eyes every day and just say, I will be the best XYZ twice a day.
Posting, writing, and all that has come about in my life recently, the public speaking, the influencing. But the truth is, it's the acting vehicle that is going to drive all of that. Today, wherever I've reached, suppose on a level of 1 to 10, I'm at 5, hypothetically speaking. If I stop acting today, the writing, inspiring, public speaking vehicle will go from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 in no time. If I go from 5 to 9 as an actor, everything will take care of itself.
But I think your work in it was about Tilak, right? Lal Bahadur Shastri, who killed Shastri. I think your work as a villain, it was phenomenal, because I was like, I really hated you in that, and which is a good thing. So you were doing a great job.
Sunny, can I interject a second here?
Sure.
I want to ask Prashantt, any chance of a second make for New Christmas? Are we going to see a continuation of the story?
The thing I realized about Christmas stories is that you have to be so bang on with your timing, because if you miss a certain 2 to 3 month slot of release, you may lose the whole year, So I love it as a holiday, and there's going to be more films that I'm going to produce out there. And a lot of you that I want to work with out there. I don't know if A New Christmas would have a sequel, also because there's a lot of people in that team that I don't want to work with again. I don't want to name them because it was a tough ride. I was Mr. Peacemaker between some of the key heads of department, and I know they wouldn't want to work with themselves again. Of course, I own the IP to A New Christmas, so I can change the whole team. But
not the father-in-law, right?
No, you're always going to be the father-in-law. You're always going to be the father-in-law. Whether my wife is black or Chinese or Hispanic, you're going to be the father-in-law. So just we're going to work again. I had a great time working with you, Harbinder. And our scenes were good, and you were natural. And that was a very emotional scene where you came up to me and how I reacted. And you fit the part well. You looked good. You were so easy to work with.
So I'm gonna ask you another serious question. So let's say you had an option, a lead role opposite a struggling actress versus a small role opposite an established and like one of the top actresses in the industry. Which one would you opt for?
Well, there's two answers to that. The bigger question is who's producing the film. If I really have to pick between either of the two situations, I'm assuming that if there's a film with a big actress, the producer is big. In which case, I would be happy doing a smaller role, provided the role is pivotal to the story. If it's a filler, I'm not interested. If it's anybody could have done it, I'm not interested. If there's no substance to it, I'm not interested. But the length doesn't matter to me if all the other things are there. But more than anything, you have to gauge opportunity as to how far is this going to take me? Is this a good leap forward?
As far as directors are concerned, who would be your dream director to work with as of right now?
I really like Anand Rai as a director. I have always liked Vishal Bharadwaj. I've always liked Anurag Kashyap. Um, I would take these three names. There's a huge list I can come up with, but I'm not a big fan of some of the bigger producers out there and the stuff they're making. It would be great to work with them. It's no longer a dream. It's a dream to succeed. It's no longer a dream to say, oh my God, I can't wait to work with Karan Johar. I'd love to. It's not a dream.
From what you told me, I'm sure you've seen some pretty rough days. I would have cracked in the sense that I have a very short fuse. So I would have actually, and I've walked out of jobs like you wouldn't believe. I had a six-figure job I walked out of in 2017. I cursed out the owner and I walked out because he wasn't treating me well. He was mistreating me. So I can't tolerate nonsense. I have a very low threshold of tolerance for bullshit. And when it comes to a director like that, I don't care. He could be the biggest director or the biggest producer or biggest whoever. In my book, respect ranks highest, and I respect everybody, including the junior most actor or artist to the senior most. I will treat them the same way, because at the end of the day, we are who we make believe by showing our attitude towards other people. The thing right now that I see with between Salman Khan and Karan Johar right now, I think both of them were part of this whole thing that happened with Sushant Singh Rajput. But Salman Khan, on the one hand, is trying to be humble. He's trying to appeal to his followers and also to Sushant's followers, to make peace. I don't see much happening from Karan's side. I mean, he's just gone ahead and unfollowed a bunch of celebrities because he doesn't want to be associated with them, whatever it is. But you need to take a first step. You need to acknowledge there is a problem. If you do not acknowledge there is a problem, the problem will never get fixed by itself. So if
Absolutely.
exactly, so we as actors have to acknowledge there is a problem with nepotism. There is a problem with, like, Sonam Kapoor was saying something about, oh, don't blame the girlfriend or whatever, and people literally chewed her out on Instagram and Twitter because they could not understand. And I think there was another actor who was saying, what's the big deal? And that actor also, they chewed that actor out because it is a big deal. It is. And this is the conversation that's waiting to happen. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is, give it a few months, I think everything is going to be under the rug. People will move on with life, and poor Sushant Singh Rajput would be forgotten.
Unfortunately, like you said, it might go under the rug, but I do see a little bit of a paradigm shift. Enough audience has woken up to understanding, wait, we have been supporting people whose cinema doesn't live up to the message that they're personally giving out there. You know? So your movie can't say that it's all about loving your parents when the other message you're sending out is something totally different.
I love that. That was a good response. And I'm hoping that this conversation continues. So now let me ask you a very different question about the emergence of the OTT platform during the COVID and post-COVID. What is going to happen, post-COVID? Because I've been talking to different people and I've asked this same question to a bunch of people already. And I'm going to share the videos when I share the videos, and everybody can see the response. What's your take on the OTT platform and the life of the industry as we know it post COVID-19?
I can't answer when life will come to normalcy as far as, pre-production and production and post-production. Only God knows the answer to that one. But we have a huge opportunity here with the streaming platforms. I do sense that even when it comes to them, there is the top 10 producers trying to consume a monopoly or an ownership of Netflix and Amazon and Disney and the top 5 platforms, which is basically Netflix and Amazon. If that doesn't happen, and if creativity and production is more democratic, then a lot can change. If you look at the streaming platforms in India, none of them are thriving on any of the star kids. Okay, so the gamut of opportunity is much bigger, provided it doesn't get corrupted. And unfortunately, India is good at corrupting a good idea. Uh, you know, I'm hopeful that there's more opportunity for writers, directors, and actors and producers, and that it isn't owned by the powerful few. But only time will tell if Netflix and Amazon can also understand and engage with what's happening here. Are we getting too many things from one company and we're not allowing other people to break through? Only time will tell. It's kind of soon, but thanks to the streaming platforms, they've kept people entertained in this lockdown for the last 4 months.
So let me ask you a different question. Do you think that, post COVID-19, people have actually now gotten used to the OTT platforms? They are able to watch everything from the comfort of their home. Do you think people are going to want to spend money to go out to a theater, given the threat of COVID-19 and sitting in close proximity to people and the risk of catching something? Do you think returning to the theaters is going to be something that will happen post COVID-19? I mean, I know it's a silly question and it all depends on a lot of different things, but what's your take on it?
It's going to happen, yeah, but not immediately. So assume for a second theaters open up in August. There's going to be a 10 to 15% flow. By October, 25%. We live in an era where, regardless of the gravity of the problem, we get bored. Okay, social media has spoiled us. We go onto Facebook 30 times a day, only to see what's new. Nothing has changed. Back in the day, we used to open up our refrigerators 5 times a day, even though the same things were there. So we get bored. We get bored. We're going to get bored of COVID. It sounds silly to say so. We're going to get bored of being scared of COVID. Whether it's July or August, only God knows. And then 6 months down the line, there will be a medical cure. 12 months down the line, there may be a vaccine. So will people go back to the theaters? Absolutely they will. Will people go back to Giant Stadium and Yankee Stadium? Absolutely they will. It's just going to be a slow progression back. Theaters will take away seats. They'll distance seats. They will require masks. A lot of things will change, but people will go back to the movies.
Amen to that. I mean, I sure hope, because this whole industry thrives on ticket sales. Okay, so I think somebody has a question for you, Dunhill Studios. Would you like to ask your question directly?
Represent Dunhill Studios, and I'm Hemant Tabatia. Hemant. So Prashantt, nice to meet you. Thanks for the talk, and thanks Sonny for the hosting. And just wanted to ask you, Prashantt, after being a little bit more established as an actor, a few known projects, when you try to get something produced now, what are some of the challenges you come across to get it done?
To get something produced?
Yeah.
Every step is a challenge, from finding the material to falling in love with it, to be able to fall in love with it to the point where you've been able to sell it to 5 people or to 2 people to fund it. A New Christmas had 6 investors, and that was the least of my problems. Getting the money for that film was the least of my problems, because the story was so good. I was able to sell it very quickly, and fortunately, it wasn't a lot of money that I was asking for. But then comes the hurdle of making it. I think the biggest challenge I faced as a producer is making sure everybody gets along with the same passion that the film started with. My toughest role as a producer was peacemaker. Once you have the money, it's in the bank. Now it's your responsibility not to go over budget. If you go over budget, hope you don't go more than 10, 15% over budget. Is somebody going to take care of that? You're done. Fine. Make sure that you share authority with people who have the courage to tell you where you're right or wrong, but have the decency to tell you in a nice way. Like I always say, arrogance, bad attitudes, just being mean, all these things can really spoil the fun of an otherwise beautiful craft and a beautiful process. I'd go back to saying the same thing that I asked God for: strong head and heart. Those are the challenges. Cast the right people, actors, director, writer, and study other producers and their journeys. Do your homework right, and everything will be fine if you're organized. But be headstrong. Be headstrong.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
I would say I totally, I mean, I've produced a couple of small things myself. And my biggest mistake was that I was brought into a project by an actress. She said to invest in a short film, and I invested in the short film. And I'm not gonna air my dirty laundry in open. But sometimes what happens is egos come into play, and people will destroy a good name. You try to establish a good name, and they can't get along with anybody. And if you as a producer have to spend your time trying to cater to their ego, what the hell are you going to do? How will you make a film? So my thing is, maybe hang out with the team before you start shooting, and get to know your team a little bit better before you start shooting. Because sometimes what happens is there might be this one person that you don't want on your team, but you wouldn't know about it, because in the beginning, they'll be the sweetest people on earth. But during the shoot or after the shoot, it's going to be a whole different ball game. And I think you will agree with me when I say that, right? I mean, these are the people who give the industry and the entire fraternity a bad name. So yes, I don't even need to ask you. I think I have a clear clue. So I don't even need to ask you about that.
So I won't take long. First of all, thank you so much, Sunny. I don't have enough words to say how blessed I'm feeling to be here right now. And Prashantt, thank you so much again. It was such an inspiring, insightful talk. Frankly, the values that we grew up with, somehow down the line, I was feeling that, they don't hold true in this big, bad world now. But after hearing you about the fact about not being mean, about being, everything is somehow tied back again, that yes, those values are there. Those are the ones that are respected, and they are going to take us further. Thank you for reinstating that, especially in me again. And my question to you is, you said to keep heart and head all strong, and you feel blessed that you have a lot of support structure, and many of us have it. What is your advice to people who may not have that support structure, who may not have a very supportive family, or whose parents are not alive, no sibling, how do they do that on their own?
I would tell them that be very, very serious about your craft, but don't take anything else seriously. So, for example, if you're not good enough at what you do, then all kinds of things will come your way, whether it's rejection or insults or whatever. But if you're good at what you do, and if you keep working on becoming better at what you do, then let go and detach from the criticism, the people ignoring you, the insults, and the amount of time it takes to make it, because none of that is in your control. And none of it, more than anything, is personal. None of it is personal. It took me too long to learn that. So I would say that be the greatest you can be, cinematographer, actor, director, writer, and make sure you can go to bed saying, you know what, I worked my ass off today, yesterday, and I'm going to do the same thing again tomorrow. And I'm going to surrender the rest to God. Okay. Hopefully that person has at least God to fall back on, if not a parent, if not a spouse, if not a friend. I hope that person has God, and keep that bond strong. And meditation, reading motivational literature, all of this really helps, because if you know other people's story, it becomes a great leveler in your own life. Like, oh, okay, so and so went through that. Oh, okay, so and so went through that. It's okay. Prashant, it's okay. Sunny, it's okay. Harbinder, it's okay. Sugandha, it's okay. It's very important. And I hope I did a little bit of justice to answer that. I'm always a message away if there's anything ever. And it'll be great to just form a bond with all of you and to see you all next time I'm out there.
You know where to reach us also, Prashant. We are in the same group. All of us are in the same group. It's just that, these people are hearing you for the first time. And I must say, this side of Prashantt Gupta, I don't think anybody has seen. And I'm so glad that I went off script with my questions. I actually had a script. I had questions for you, but I decided to go off script because that closeness is there. We have this camaraderie, we are from the same fold. So I decided to just come up with random questions, and I'm glad that we did.
I am too.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your time, taking time out on Father's Day and, speaking with us one-on-one. Thank you so much for your time again, Prashant.
Thank you, everyone.